gang, Ronan here, and as you can see, it's time for another adventure in World of Warships. As you can see, in this game, we've got Sega B. Ravano playing the Tier 6 Premium U.S. Destroyer Monaghan. And this is a pretty remarkable game. First, let's take a look at the matchmaking. Matchmaking, well, it's about as friendly as you can get, really. Top tier in a T6 ship. There are sub on either team, multiple destroyers. You can see quite a few, 4 destroyers per team. Only 1 cruiser per team, which helps out a lot. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 battleships and an aircraft carrier. So, what can I tell you about the Monaghan? If you're not familiar with it, this is built on a farragut hull, and in many ways it is more or less identical. But there are some significant differences that I want to make sure that I cover with you. Now, to look at it from here, would you be able to tell that it's any different? Well, maybe. You might notice that it has a little bit less in terms of gun power. But we'll start with the general information about Monaghan. You can see that the HP on this ship is 16,000. The base health on this is 13,900. And we compare that to the base health of the farragut, which is 11,500. And you can see already that you've got a little bit more HP, but you need that. And why do you need that? Because when we take a look at the guns, well, you've only got 2 of them. They're both on the front end of the ship. And they are the same guns that are on the farragut, but you have 3 less. So you have 40% of the gun power that the farragut has. That's it. Now you do have smokes, and they are the really great U.S. destroyer smokes. But you don't have much in the way of gun power.
Torpedoes, direct front.
The AP DPM on this thing is Sega B avoids torpedoes, even though it's pinged. Nicely done. Really nicely done. The AP DPM 63,000 compared to the farragut
Torpedoes, direct
AP
front.
DPM of 157.5. So you've got, of course, as you might expect, less than half of the AP damage per minute, and the same goes for HE shells. The HE shells damage per minute 54,000. On the farragut, that's 135,000. Now you can see the oil slicks there on the surface of the water, and that tells Sega B where the sub is, more or less, or where it was, more or less. And Sega B is moving right in here.
Torpedoes to start.
To get torpedoes on some of these ships back here,
Smoke
and
started.
Finish off that sub. Now, the guns. Well, as I mentioned, they're 127s. The horizontal dispersion, the vertical dispersion, same as the farragut. Horizontal dispersion is 105 meters. Vertical dispersion 62 meters. Both ships have a 2.0 Sigma,
Screen set.
and the torpedoes are away. Now I'll get into the torpedoes. There is a significant difference here, as you can probably see. The farragut has 2 racks, 4 torpedoes per rack. The Monaghan has 2 racks, 5 torpedoes per rack. And the torpedo DPM in the Monaghan is 81,803 versus the farragut is 64,000. And it looks like 1, 2 hits, and a flood. And probably going to be able to finish it off even with 2 guns. Nope, didn't even need it.
We've destroyed an enemy battleship.
Now, what's the big difference? Well, the big difference is that the range on the Monaghan torpedoes is 9.2 kilometers versus 6.4 kilometers on the farragut. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means you can torpedo things from stealth.
All stations reporting the
You can
position of a
stay
strategic
outside of
engine
people's
boost
detection
deactivated.
range and hit them with torpedoes. And normally you have to wait till you get to Monaghan in order to do that. So that is a very nice difference between the Monaghan and the Farragut, but I have to say that it's probably not going to happen as often as you might hope that you're able to put that to good use. Now you can see that the red Farragut is pushing up, and that's a real problem for Segeby as he finishes off the B-69.
Enemy
Really nicely
submarine
done.
destroyed.
Finished off a battleship and a sub. Now, look what happens to our hero. He doesn't have smoke for 43 seconds now, and his guns have to. You can just look at his forward guns. If he's going to use the guns on that Farragut, they have to come all the way around, and they're only on the front of the ship. So right now, Segeby is making use of a pretty decent rudder shift and trying to avoid getting finished off by the Farragut. I mean, the Farragut has changed his focus, and he's going after the sub, but what does that mean for our hero? Well, it means that he has an opportunity to get guns on the Farragut without anything coming back. And it's really weird. This is an old replay. There was a bug, and I don't know if it still exists, to be honest. I kind of doubt that it does, but there was a bug that allowed your shells to kind of drop short of the target consistently. And it really looked to me like that's what was happening there. But you can see Segeby's basically nose in at this point, creating a really narrow profile.
Enemy
And he's
destroyer
able to get
foundered.
both of his guns working. And
Engine
that's kill
boost
number 3 if you're
activated.
keeping track. We're just under 6 minutes into the game, and our hero has finished off Fuso, Farragut, and U-69. Will the Stewart be the next victim? Now, New York has face planted into the island, and Segeby makes his best guess about where he's going to go. Stewart has turned away, so Icarus and Stewart are here, but they're ignoring Segeby. Well, they ignore him at their peril. With only 2 guns, I think wisely he has not opened up. He does have smoke available, but right now it's just going to be a question of can he maneuver between all of these torpedoes. Nicely done. So, apparently the destroyers weren't ignoring him entirely, but they ignored him a little too much because they didn't put guns on him.
Our team
And
is taking the lead.
bang! Torpedo
We
catches the
sunk
Stewart,
an enemy
who's running
destroyer.
apparently through the gap back there, and finishes him off. That's yet another kill for the Monaghan, and that's that's really saying something. Is the Icarus actually going to do it? He's going to get through. He's got his guns working, but Koenig has just come around the corner. Is he going to be able to get a shot? No, he fired on something else entirely, and may eat a face full of torpedoes for his trouble. Gustavo Santa Croce. Okay, so Icarus made it to the other side of the island. New York, he's trying to get away, but he's just sitting there kind of stuck on the island. He's healing again. And at this point, the green team is in pretty good shape. I mean, they've got a commanding lead, almost 150 points. They're only down 5 ships. The red team is down 6 ships. But this game is far from over. Both teams have 2 caps. And there is the destroyer. Icarus backs out of his smoke. Segeby's able to put 1 of 2 on, then 2 of 2. You can see the damage. The damage is pretty horrible. And
Enemy
with some
destroyer
help
sunk.
from the CV, Segeby picks up kill number 5 for the Kraken Unleashed. And he's still going. Texas seems to be running away, probably smart. You can see Segeby's comment there in the chat. And New York is still in the same spot. And Segeby says, hey, if you want to hang out there, that's fine. We'll try again with the torpedoes and see whether or not I get lucky. But he's not even going to need them. 2 guns. You can see where he's aiming. You saw where the shells landed. That is kill
Enemy
number
battleship
6.
foundered.
And he's still going. Ranger's a little upset about that. Now, you may have heard me say this before. I maintain that, at least for me, this is just truth. It doesn't really matter who finishes off a ship. Your experience points with regards to that have to do with the damage, the percentage of damage that you do to a ship, not whether you kill it. So whoever can finish off a red ship should, because it is still combat effective as long as it has 1 HP. So whoever knocks it out of the game eliminates that threat. And the sooner the better. So here we are, we're 10 minutes and 20 seconds into the game, and our hero is working to secure a cap, chasing after Texas, and moving toward another Texas and the enemy CV, which is all that remains on the red team. And this really is kind of a mop-up operation at this point. But given what I told you earlier about the gunpowder of
All
this ship,
stations, concentrate fire on the target.
I hope you'll agree this is a pretty phenomenal game, and it's not over. If I didn't mention it earlier, one other advantage Monaghan has is a slightly better
Engine boost
detection
activated.
radius. The base detection by sea is 6.98 kilometers versus 7.33 for the Farragut. So you're able to get your base detection down a little bit lower than you can with the Farragut, which of course helps with being able to remain unseen while getting torpedoes on a target. Now, the red ships will not always be as cooperative as they have been in this game, but when they are, you have a game like this one. Now, why is Segeby doing this? Well, I think really it just comes down to the fact that his team has secured 3 caps, and that he believes he can survive whatever initial blast from Texas he might have to endure, which he did. Texas just completely whiffed on that shot. And he's got all of his torpedoes ready. So he's going to be able to get right up in Texas's face. See, Texas is trying to keep his profile as narrow as possible, but to no avail. It's just not going to matter.
Our team has taken the lead.
Picks up Confederate, high caliber. Yeah. And now the Furious says, okay, I better pay attention to this guy. He's taken out 7 of my teammates. Now, I don't know about you, but I find that remarkable. 7 kills in a Monaghan. Yes, he's top tier. Yes, maybe there were a lot of potatoes on the red team, but still, 7 kills in a Monaghan.
Engine boost
Just
deactivated.
phenomenal, Segeby. Not a bad drop at all, but Segeby wiggles the ship just enough to be able to get away from the torpedoes and says, you know what, let's go for 8. So what do you think? You think he's going to be able to get that Furious fighting back there? The Queen Elizabeth is out here. You can see the Queen Elizabeth that was at Foxtrot or Echo 10 right now. So it's anybody's guess who will be able to finish off. The Furious is plainly focusing on our hero as
Problem
Segeby
solved,
bobs
sir.
and weaves, trying to avoid getting sunk. 2 guns. Using AP now and hoping to be able to pen. The farther he goes this way, the worse that angle's liable to look. Segeby Looks like he's beginning to turn back the other way. Yep. Furious misses that strike. I dropped those too far out. Furious is probably going to know those are coming. But either way, this is beginning to look more and more like an 8-kill game. Yeah. Just chip damage from the guns. Switches to AP, and at range 1, actually less than 1, works to finish off the Furious for 8 kills. That is phenomenal. Way to go, Segeby. And although it took me a while to get to this, it's been on my mind for, well, since you sent it to me. All right, so that's the Confederate, high caliber, devastating strikes, Kraken Unleashed, 124,607 damage in a low-tier game, 9 torpedo hits, 52 shells on target, lots of depth charge hits, finished off a sub, tops the scoreboard with 2,631 base XP, closest to that 1,212. That's just phenomenal play. Really phenomenal play. Kudos to the Congo and New York, Queen Elizabeth, all over 1,000 XP. And you can see he really spread the love around. He put hits on a lot of ships. Main battery, 52 shell hits for only 15,737 damage. Torpedoes, 9 torpedo hits for 87,428 damage. 596 fire damage, 10,696 flooding. Over 500,000 potential damage. Nice XP, nice commander XP. Again, Segeby, great game. Those of you joining me, I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. I'll see